Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. For a few weeks, I had a lot of questions. That I wanted to ask a lot of people who I could meet, I could get. Questions like, are we handling our COVID right? We know we are not. So what can be done to ensure that we improve the way we are handling COVID situation in India? That was the question I wanted to ask somebody. I also wanted to ask, what is the future of Bharatiya Janata Party government? Is this COVID and the pandemic going to affect the Bharatiya Janata Party's future? I wanted to ask, what is the future of the Prime Minister of India? Will Mr. Narendra Modi enjoy the same kind of popularity that he had? What about the assembly elections? What do they indicate? What is the future of Mamata Banerjee? Where is Rahul Gandhi going and where is Congress going? Lot of questions, but diverse. So, I was hoping that, I'm going to list down 10 names and then kind of, ask each of these questions, make this topics, ask each of these questions to different individuals. And that is when I remembered Mr. Sudheendra Kulkarni. Now, I'll tell you who Mr. Sudheendra Kulkarni is. Of course, a lot of you all know, but all the same. Mr. Sudheendra Kulkarni is a IITian, by the way. That a lot of people don't know. He's an IITian, and he started his politics as a Marxist, a communist. He was following the Marxist at one point in time when he started his political life. Somewhere in 1996, he changed over and he joined the Bharatiya Janata Party and rose quickly in the party. He was the director operations with Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee in Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. He was actually working closely with Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So therefore, he's qualified enough as to tell me how should the administration, what are things that this administration should do to ensure that they handle this pandemic better. He was a political analyst. He was a political advisor both to Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee and then to Mr. L.K. Advani. His understanding of political situations in India is very grassroots. In fact, I have seen a lot of senior politicians go to him for advice. And I know for a fact that a lot of senior politicians still seeks his advice. So I wanted to know from him, what is the political future of Mr. Narendra Modi? What is the political future of Mamata Banerjee? What is the political future of Rahul Gandhi? And what does this assembly tell us? Assembly election results tell us. So end of the day, I found one person who could answer all my questions. And that's my editorial today. This is going to be interesting. Let's get right into the show. Unfortunately, Mr. Sudheendra Kulkarni is in a small village in Karnataka at the moment. So there was a lot of network problem during the interview and there were a lot of power cuts during the interview. So please bear with us. Believe me, the information that you will get out of this interview will be very interesting. Sir, thank you so much for joining me on my show. Sir, let's get straight to the question. How do you think, sir, this government is handling the COVID, especially the wave 2?
I'm very pained to say, as a citizen of India, that the government's handling of the COVID pandemic is abysmal. India has become a point that has caused concern to the entire international community. Not just the people of India are concerned, but the entire world is concerned. What is happening in India? This was never expected. After the first wave of the pandemic, the people expected the government to be more careful, proactive, and take all the necessary measures to ensure that the medical infrastructure was in place, the human infrastructure was in place, and in case there was a second wave, the country was well protected. But we find ourselves in such a precarious situation now that in state after state, city after city, and even town after town, small towns are now sort of gasping for breath. You know, I'm talking to you from a small town in Karnataka, and I can tell you that people are really scared. There are deaths taking place. People are losing their near and dear ones, and they're asking why. Why didn't the government plan and anticipate that basic things like oxygen would be required, basic things like the remdesivir medicine would be required, ventilators would be required, ICU beds would be required. There were at least 6 months to plan for the second wave. Unfortunately, the government went into complacency. Beginning from the top, that is the Prime Minister, all of them said that, we have conquered the coronavirus. In fact, we are showing ourselves to be a model to the rest of the world. They expressed victory. The Prime Minister himself, in several of his speeches, said that India is now what the world is looking up to. We started exporting vaccines as if our own internal domestic needs were well taken care of. And now, by suddenly stopping these exports, we are causing problems even to the countries that we assured. Of course, India has a responsibility to come to the help of the international community. But the domestic needs were completely ignored. The news that are coming out of Delhi, of Gujarat, of UP, it's very, very depressing. And I cannot say that only the government is responsible, but the government has the primary responsibility to keep the nation prepared. And this is where it failed.
Sir, you were the director operations in Vajpayeeji's government. Sir, how would Vajpayeeji handle this? What different steps would have Vajpayeeji's government taken?
No, it's somewhat of a hypothetical question, but I would say one thing. Vajpayeeji would have handled it with extreme sensitivity and compassion. What is missing in the Narendra Modi government handling of the situation is a certain lack of compassion and sensitivity. As if propaganda is everything, as if image building is everything, as if the world needs to know what a great leader we have. And this certainly would not have happened if Vajpayeeji were Prime Minister. For him, I'm not saying that Vajpayeeji would have handled it 100% efficiently. I'm not making that claim because there are many other factors involved. But as a leader of the nation, he would have shown utmost compassion, empathy, and sensitivity, samvedana.
How does this situation impact Bharatiya Janata Party's future in India?
In the 7 years of Narendra Modi's tenure as Prime Minister, this is the most serious crisis that he has faced. In fact, one would say that in independent India's history, this is the greatest public health crisis. There is also an attendant and a resultant economic crisis because of the corona pandemic. The failure of the Narendra Modi government is absolutely self-evident. And in the midst of this has come the outcome of the 5 assembly elections.
Correct.
4 states and 1 union territory. except Assam, which is a saving grace for the BJP. The BJP has fared badly in Kerala without opening an account, badly in Tamil Nadu, where as part of an alliance, it failed to win a renewed mandate in Tamil Nadu. And of course, West Bengal has been the most humiliating defeat. I would like to spend a little time on West Bengal
Yes.
because I was there for nearly 1.5 months during the election period, closely watching the election scene. And the Bharatiya Janata Party poured all its resources into the state to wrest power from Trinamool Congress and defeat Mamata Banerjee. The Bharatiya Janata Party made it a Narendra Modi versus Mamata Banerjee battle. The Prime Minister versus a Chief Minister battle. The Prime Minister was the face that everyone saw all throughout the campaign, in rallies, in television news reports, in hoardings, everywhere.
Just a question here. Like you rightly said, I mean, like, other than Assam and Puducherry, the BJP couldn't make their mark. But what one should also appreciate the fact that from 3 to 77, BJP did make a difference. Sir, my specific question to you, sir, what did they do wrong that they couldn't get through to that maybe 120, 130 mark?
The principal shortcoming of the BJP in West Bengal was that they did not have a local leader who commanded popularity, charisma, which came anywhere close to that of Mamata Banerjee.
Correct.
And because of this, they fell back on the Prime Minister and the supposed popularity of the Prime Minister, his ability to win elections in state after state after state. And that's what their belief. That's not the reality.
Correct. Even in Bihar, they have no leader. Sushil Modi, I don't think is a major leader in Bihar. In fact, he's not a very popular leader in Bihar. Even there, it used to be Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. How was it different in Kolkata?
One critical difference, the leader who they had to confront was Mamata Banerjee. And Mamata Banerjee in this election has shown matchless courage, determination, and spirit to take on the might of the BJP, the might of the Prime Minister and Amit Shah. She really fought like a Bengal tigress.
What is next for Mamata Banerjee? Is Mamata Banerjee going to be seen as a prime ministerial candidate for the opposition?
Mamata Banerjee is now a 3-term Chief Minister of West Bengal.
Yes.
But she is not just a regional leader. She has also been a central minister in Vajpayee government.
Yes.
She has a nationwide recognition and visibility. People know her as a leader who is very simple and who is totally dedicated to serving the people, especially the poor people. I must point out here, one of the main reasons for her stupendous victory in West Bengal is the broad range of pro-people initiatives that she undertook. I have covered many places in West Bengal, including rural Bengal. The welfare schemes that she implemented, especially for women, child and students, Swasthya Sathi, which is a far superior scheme than Ayushman Bharat that has been launched by Narendra Modi.
I slightly beg to differ on one point, sir. Sir, a lot of schemes that Mr. Narendra Modi has launched, a lot of schemes, successful schemes, Janadan Yojana and Ujjwala Yojana and so on and so forth, all Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, all of this are launched for the poor. So the fact that he has percolated down to the poor, why exactly would you say that Narendra Modi is losing ground, is losing popularity?
Most of all because of the total mismanagement of the COVID crisis.
Correct.
See, a leader's true mettle, character, and competence is measured, is judged in the time of a crisis. In normal situations, these things don't matter. A lot of things can be made up by a certain propaganda and image management. But in a crisis like the COVID crisis, actual governance, performance matters. And I think that in the last 2 months, Narendra Modi's popularity has taken a beating that was not imagined by anybody, including himself. You only have to see the global media criticizing the Indian Prime Minister. The Indian media is not yet doing, because, as you all very well know, how the media is controlled and coerced by this government. The mismanagement of the COVID crisis is the principal reason why things will begin to get difficult for Narendra Modi in the run-up to 2024. Added to this is the economic mismanagement. The economy is in a very bad shape. The prices are rising. You only have to see how the government has jacked up the prices of petroleum products at a time when the oil that is imported from abroad is not, the price is not very high. Yet the government has increased the prices of petrol and diesel to almost 3 figures. And this has a cascading effect on all other prices. Jobs are very difficult to get for young people. Even blue-collared workers are losing their jobs. So, in the run-up to 2024, the people are going to judge the Prime Minister on the basis of his performance. I agree with you that there are some schemes that he has initiated that have touched the lives of the poor, as you mentioned earlier. But that alone is not going to be enough. And that's why COVID crisis plus the outcome of these elections has opened up the political situation in India to many new possibilities. And I must mention one more very important thing here. We have just today seen the results of the Panchayat elections in Uttar Pradesh. And the Bharatiya Janata Party has fared very badly. According to some reports, the Samajwadi Party has already overtaken the Bharatiya Janata Party in the UP Panchayat elections. Now, if this trend continues, Uttar Pradesh, which is going to have a state assembly election next year, will be very difficult for the BJP to retain. And if the BJP loses in Uttar Pradesh, then the Lok Sabha election is an open game.
Tell me, sir, why is South rejecting BJP?
I would say that one major reason is that southern parties, southern states have put their faith in regional parties. Even the CPIM today, which has won in reduced to just one state now, they have failed to open a mark in West Bengal. They have lost Tripura. Of course, they were not present in the rest of the country. So, a strong regional party with a strong leader like Pinarayi Vijayan in Kerala. DMK, of course, because of the Dravidian movement, has been strong in Tamil Nadu. The BJP was hoping that by making an alliance with one of the factions of the Dravidian movement, AIADMK, they would get somewhere, but they have failed. This makes a bigger point about the current political situation in the country. We know that the Congress is struggling. even in this election, the Congress has fared very badly. The BJP can now be countered only by a coalition of regional parties. Mamata Banerjee, although she herself is a national figure, her party is a regional party. Samajwadi Party or RJD in Bihar. It is these parties, along with, of course, the Congress, that have to come together, Mahagathbandhan. And I believe that Mamata Banerjee can become a magnet for this national Mahagathbandhan in the months to come. You know, I have been writing for a long time, especially that for a fundamental change in Indian politics, the Congress Parivar has to come together. There are two Parivars in India. One is the Sangh Parivar and the Congress Parivar. The Sangh Parivar has remained united. There has been no split in the BJP since its formation in 1980. Unfortunately, the Congress Parivar has split repeatedly since 1969. There is a Nationalist Congress Party led by Sharad Pawar in Maharashtra. There is a YSR party
Trinamool
in Andhra Pradesh. There is Trinamool in West Bengal. As a result, the Congress has become weaker and weaker and weaker. Now, if the Congress really wants to become once again a vibrant national alternative, then at least first the Congress Parivar has to come together. Trinamool Congress, NCP, and other offshoots of the Congress, they have to come together. How this will happen, I don't know, but this has to happen. Otherwise, the Congress really cannot revive. But the Congress alone cannot confront the BJP. Therefore, a Congress along with other regional parties have to now form a national Mahagathbandhan.
Congress Parivar versus Sangh Parivar. Very strong point you made there, sir. What do you think is the future of Congress? What do you think is the future of the Gandhi siblings? Rahul Gandhi, for instance, for starters.
The Congress will have to outgrow the first family, that is the family of the Gandhi-Nehru family. It has to outgrow.
Let's talk about this family bit. Sir, we spoke about NCP. Sharad Pawar wants to make Supriya Sule the next head. Let's talk about Shiva Sena. Balasaheb Thackeray made Uddhav Thackeray the next head. Let us talk about DMK. Stalin is the son of Karunanidhi. Let's talk about TMC. Abhishek Banerjee is being projected as the next head. So the fact remains that, sir, this dynasty bit seems to be everywhere. Mulayam Singh Yadav, Akhilesh Yadav is taking over. Lalu Prasad Yadav.
You are absolutely right that this kind of family-oriented politics is very common in India. There are sociological, cultural reasons for it. But for the Congress party, you see, the Congress party is a national institution. It was not started by any one leader or one family. Unlike many of the examples that you have given, the Congress party was not established by any family or one leader. It was, and whose family then continued building that party and carrying on the legacy. That's not true with Congress. As I said, if you see the history of the Congress party from 1885 to almost 1969, it was not a family-led party. And now, for the Congress to revive itself, it has to become a party that goes beyond one family.
Last personal question, sir. One personal question I wanted to ask you. Would we be seeing you in active politics soon?
Very good question. And I have been out of active politics for quite some time.
Correct.
Since I left the BJP in 2012. But politics is my passion. And I believe that politics of principles, politics of values, politics of commitment to the nation and commitment to humanity. Every individual has to make a contribution, however small, and I'm going to make that contribution.
So are we going to see you in active politics? Is that a yes or a no?
Yes.
That's nice. That's nice. We
Certainly, yes.
look forward to seeing you, people like you, interactive politics. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. HW News English is 2 years old now. When we started this venture, we promised ourselves one thing, that news should remain free, because right to know is the right of every Indian. But to keep news free for everyone, we need support from some of you. And thus we have rolled out membership on our YouTube channel HW News English. But mind you, the membership is completely voluntary. The programs that we were doing earlier, that we are doing now, will continue to remain free. First level is a basic level. Here, you can be our supporter by paying Rs 199 per month. This membership gives you certain perks and benefits. The perks include unique badges in front of your name, a live show from Mr Sujit Nair and from Mr Akhilesh Bhargava per month for our members. You can also vote in some exclusive members-only polls. Now the second level is Super Supporter. Here you can be our Super Supporter by paying Rs 3,999 per month. This membership will include every perk that comes with basic level. Additionally, our Super Supporters can be a part of a WhatsApp group where we can have discussions and suggestions on various topics. The second perk includes a gift pack with our merchandise. And the third perk is a Google Meet with Mr. Sujit Nair, where you can join the meet and ask your questions to Mr. Nair face to face. Lastly, if you like, we would give a shout out to our super supporters in our programs. So, hope to see you soon with our badges.